open? Sure. As if we're flying towards the camera. No, hold it open. Yeah. Kind of fly towards the camera. Fly. Like, move, yes. Beautiful. The a portrait or painting or portrait of Salvador Dali, and which is a picture of her taken down on the floor painting, and Dali is posing in that photo. It's a picture that has a lot of love and an artistic manner. She would like to encourage me now to return in a way to some modeling career, which could be interesting for my life. I was an actress and I have made a leading role with the actor Klaus Kinski in a film, which was a film when I was playing a very young French girl that was meeting someone such as Kinski, and the acting in that film was extremely beautiful. And if it comes my way, I wish to be playing in a film again as an actress. I came to be 26 years old at this time with my twin brother. My twin brother has been living in America with us. He also has been a few years ago performing in a nightclub. My mother also did some singing. We wish to return to work into the artist object because we are in a way very, very famous, and we deserve the fame that bring us to the world. We deserve to be thanked for the work that we are all giving. Thank you, sweetheart. Velour dans purple, soft looking. I have sometimes been in films playing as an actress, but that does not mean that I should not be with my mother when I play comedy, theater, or films. Or now she is helping me very much to sincerely understand more about the fame of fashion, which I did a show with her about yesterday. That was an exceptional show. I think that in the world it will be thanked again or looked at again. Just very interesting.
Do you feel like talking about being pregnant at all?
I think that for a woman being pregnant and waiting that a child comes for her is the best of everything that a lady could possibly be dreaming about. And I think that in the world, if there are some women that are less of a woman for those circumstances, are to be dressed and well to care for the life of their children. I right now don't live with the father because I feel like I have to be understood as much as understanding comes from sometimes. And it is perhaps in my life that I come to the subject of being happy and being cherished to do something good, and it should be in that category, always stay together for those things. With a child you will be sometimes always welcomed, and sometimes you'll always have to wait once you have your child that's with you, and it is very pretty to be a mother and to have a child. I already have one child, which I named Donovan Attar, and he's very beautiful. And I feel like that child really is somebody, and I also feel like this child loves me very much. And I understand that they intend to far the going with the love. He intends to wait for lots of love, which certain children ought to do somewhat. And I think it's good bringing up a child in a good environment and giving them what they would like to receive is a good way of bringing up a child.
Do you think your child's in a good environment?
You have to cut there. John, it's on the telephone. Okay. I think that question is
too much.
Hello.
You can forget about it.
It's a good question.
Yeah, hi.
It's a good question. But
Yes, I did. I hadn't heard
to
from you.
answer this question, I
Come
think
here.
that
Huh? What?
he
Oh, that's
loves
good.
me very much, and I know that he really feels
Yeah.
like when he's with me, he really feels like it's another world, and so beautiful to make a child being happy.
Well, that's good, because I have to go
With
to
something
the
nice.
SSI office.
And
They're missing a
I think
paper.
that I have some people like my father, which
It's
was
a
an
long
artist
story.
when he was younger.
I'd rather you
He was an
talk about
artist.
it
He
another
did a
moment.
film called Ciao Manhattan.
We're in the middle of being filmed.
Ciao Manhattan, that they
Yep,
passed
we're being videoed.
records of Easy Ride.
Yeah. No,
Which I have seen
I just got in from
about
doing
2
laundry.
years ago, 2 years and a half ago.
Huh?
It was
No,
very
this is
good
a girl
movie.
we met, and
And
she's
my father
doing
wants to help me with my
a
baby
story on pregnant women.
right now in my life.
But Penelope is. Mm-hmm.
And it's good to
Yeah, but her lawyer said that they'll
keep
try to
on
take
good
this one
contacts in the world.
away too. And, well, from both of them. So, he said we should move, get out of town. Yeah.
As long as you are beautiful, we can always make your beauty last.
Well, that's what I'd like to discuss with you in length, try to figure something out. Oh, uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have some photos of my
Yeah.
son.
Well, I'll
My
check it out
mother
and we'll
made
see.
of him.
Do you think Penelope could
very
possibly move there
strong.
before me?
And very capable, and he has a very beautiful face, which like
She's doing very well. I
like
mean,
it's what's
they are
gifted
such
from
assholes
God.
in that whole thing that I have threatened
Makes
to
you feel
expose them
good.
with. You can tape this too if you're taping, because this is the whole story. To expose them in newspapers what they're doing. The first report they did about her was a bunch of crap, and I think they're pretty sick. I mean, they're hunting for babies to take away, and even when the person does everything correctly, they still will look for something to take away a baby, and that can definitely screw up a baby to find itself with parents who are not blood relatives, because some are okay, but some are really awful. Well, Joe just hasn't gotten it together right now, so Penelope has her own room over here, and he might get things together, but he might not. I mean, he applied for SSI, and that might come through. He was a bit vague about what he was going to do, so. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Sure. But I mean, if he gets the SSI, he will, that will permit them to travel if they're still together. I mean, I really don't know what their plans are, but I would like to move her out of this town, because what I've seen is really sickening. We found this suit in a free box. And this dress, also this lovely retro dress, we found it thrown out in front of the store. And this suit, turn around. Isn't that lovely? The suit and the shirt just thrown out. We shop in free boxes, right? A very millionaires from a free box. It's funny, everything. And that cushion, and that chair, and lovely retro typewriter, green for Ivy, which I'm going to use to write the other half of my life story. I've already written 60 pages up to Andy Warhol. and from there on, and then it's going to be rewritten by a real writer in a style, and my book will finally come out. There are people running up to me, when is it coming out? I want to buy it. Will you get that book out? Oh, this is a story about Jack Nicholson is my husband. I was madly infatuated with him, or in love with him, and I was ranting and raving about him in Paris to this friend of mine I said, oh, I'd love to meet him. And this friend said, what do you mean you'd love to meet him? You married him. And I said, what? It's absurd. And he said, oh no, at Peter Knowles' party he called Mexico and got you married by proxy. And I think I was in a blackout. I must have been my first blackout, because I don't remember it at all, and I doubt if he does. And it would be nice to know. I mean, why become a bigamist? But of course he never told me. But I did want to meet him, and I did in the saloon in San Francisco. That's why we all came here in the first place.
What year was that?
Came to meet Jack Nicholson.
What year was that?
In November '85. My fortune teller told me I would meet him in San Francisco, and I did. '88 or '89, I had a black eye, which I covered up with makeup. I'm kind of half blind now, and I walked into a glass store looking at a Japanese garden and knocked myself out, so they put white makeup on, and I really love it, though. The sun really lit it. It wasn't unnatural lighting. I think it's really lovely. Salvador Dali did quite an extraordinary portrait of me in the nude when I was in my 3rd month of pregnancy with the twins. I had quite enormous boobs and was a lot heavier, but the portrait is utterly magnificent. And Milton Green photographed it, and it's in the in Milton Green's archives, I mean his files, which his children inherited, and if they don't do anything with it there, it's stuck, all the portraits that have ever been made of me, and there have been quite a few. Ernest Fuchs actually did the best one, but that I sold to Count Salm because it's safer in his castle. I'm sure someone would have stolen it from me. So that one's there, but Dolly did really a magnificent one, and this is just me doing Dolly's portrait, because I draw too. I did, my best portrait was of Andy Warhol. It took 1 year to do, and he posed for 1 year. This is my first article that came out when I became homeless. The first magazine to write about it was People magazine, and all the magazines all around the world got interested in this famous model who had worked with Andy Warhol 7 years, who had lived in a castle, graced the covers of Bazaar and Vogue, suddenly wound up homeless. So it just, made top publicity, 9 television shows, including Larry King. And
how do you explain how that happened?
It happened because San Francisco was a strange place. No one believed who we were. There are a lot of nuts running around saying they're Napoleon or Mussolini and they're married to Sophia Loren. So we came over saying all these things, and no one would believe us, and no one gave us work. And we literally locked ourselves in our rooms in the Hotel San Juan and called and tried to get auditions. Nothing happened, and 6 months went by, and we had run out of money because we were in a very expensive hotel in a very expensive neighborhood in North Beach. And when the money ran out, my son was invited to spend some time with my nephew, who had a small studio, and my son shared that, but my daughter and I were literally out in the studio. And I remember the first evening we slept in North Beach on the pavement, and it was pretty cold, and I petted her head and I said, oh, something will happen, Penelope, don't worry, something will happen. And then we met the parky people, and they used to have barbecues in the park, and that was fun. This is my first beau, Count Franco Mancinelli Scocci. I'm wearing a mink coat and a cat mask borrowed by Princess. This is a recent photo in New York, and he is my Viscount son, the son of Count Napoleon, Darius Napoleon. He's a fantastic singer and guitarist. This was taken in San Francisco in '89. This is the double wedding, my mother, my father, in the 30s. It was during the Depression, and it was less expensive to get married with two couples than one. And this is me as a photographer in Paris with my son, Darius. This is his father's castle. It was our secondary home, right here. This was the cover of the Washington Times. This was taken when, it says from riches to rags. It's when I was living in the park. I mean, I was homeless for a while. Or I had slept in a shelter the evening it was taken. And shelters are dangerous too. It was not a very, it was, fortunately I had a good makeup artist because I really didn't look that well during that period, as far as I'm concerned. Of course I dressed like the most elegant bag lady in existence, but this is my boyfriend and I, 1990, dancing in New York at Bear Jones' party. Bear Jones, this is caricature of Taylor Mead. He gives the best parties in New York with the real jet set at last. This is 1951 when I began my modeling career in Paris. This is modeling for Jacques Grief. Me on the phone in my cute little hotel room on Rue Galilée. It was a very elegant hotel. This was a little terrace. And this is all couture clothing. This is me as a blonde in 1951 in Brazil, modeling for Maggie Roof. And he is my son, who has an enormous amount of talent, but as he speaks very bad English, people keep thinking he's insane and locking him up, and I have to keep getting him out. He speaks in a fantasy world, but I know he's not mad. Gunther Ethan Palmer, the best, the most good-looking man in the world, I think. 6'2", ash blonde hair, blue eyes, really good-looking. This is me singing in Lips Underground when my singing debuts, and when this came out that I had been living in the street, newspapers from all over the world came trying to find me. It was difficult to find me to write these articles, because when you live in the park, you really live in the park, where you find a hallway here and there, and like they were all looking for me, and they found me finally. So I did a lot of articles, and got an agent and got an apartment. This is a Vogue cover, my daughter and I in Paris. My granddaughter, Gunther's daughter, my grandson Donovan, Penelope's son. This is me in New York, 1990. This is me at about 12, sweet 16. This is after Penelope, so I was about 35, I think, 33. This is a portrait of Andy Warhol. Oh no, this must have been in 69. Yeah. Penelope on the cover of Jour de France with one of the presidents of France, Giscard d'Estaing. And this was during a movie of me during my Warhol period. Very actress. It's not really modelly photo. That's it.